now we're going to look ahead to the Cats' road to the Final Four. You can make a case UK is in the toughest bracket, as usual, and the odds are the Cats are going to have to face UCLA and North Carolina to get to the Final Four. Now, Friday night, as you see, they take on Northern Kentucky. The tip-off is going to be 9:30. Now, Northern Kentucky is, of course, a great story. The Norse are in on their tournament for the first time, and it's their first try. They only got to Division I in 2012. This was the first year they're eligible. You look at that bracket, Perrin. What do you think overall? Is it okay for the Cats?
It's it's doable, but it's very hard. It's going to be a very difficult road. You're looking at the next round matchup between Dayton or Wichita State. That's going to be a difficult game. And if you go even further down the line, it might be UCLA potentially.
Are you one of these people that is upset Kentucky plays against Northern? Is that like there's some people who say, hey, why does Northern Kentucky have to play Kentucky? Like, put them against where the whole state can get behind them. Why they got to play the big school? Do you think that?
I get a lot of that, but that's just because we are where we are. You want to see everybody from the state do good in a sense. So I get all that. But
and if they win, I mean, remember, your Louisville Cardinals lost to Moorhead one time.
Yes.
And that Moorhead win probably meant more to them because they beat the local team, right?
Yes, very much so. I agree with you 110% about that. But, you want to see Northern Kentucky represent the state. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to go home.
All right, so let's talk about the bracket as a whole. Did you think that having UCLA as the 3 seed and North Carolina as the 1 is too much? A lot of people said it was the hardest bracket of all of them and maybe one of the hardest in years.
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, my biggest problem is, Gonzaga won a great deal of basketball games, but they play in the WCC. And so my argument is when you look at Kentucky being a 2 seed and Gonzaga being a 1 seed, I would rather Kentucky
Do you think Kentucky should have been the 1 right there?
In my opinion, yes.
It's interesting. If you flipped and Kentucky was the 1 and Gonzaga was the 2 in North Carolina's bracket, I don't think a lot of people would have thought this was unfair. You know what I mean? Like if Kentucky had been the 1 out west,
yes,
Gonzaga becomes the 2 with Carolina and UCLA, I think a lot of people would say, well, that seems fair.
Yes.
I kind of agree with you. Do you think 5 losses in the SEC is more impressive than 1 loss in the WCC?
I mean, absolutely. No disrespect to the WCC, but I mean, when you look at the schedule that Kentucky played before conference play and who they played against every day, it's a lot better than Santa Clara and the University of San Francisco.
Wichita State, Dayton. Who's Kentucky going to play in the second round?
I like Dayton.
You think? See, I do too. Everybody's talking about Wichita State. Dayton's really good, but the Cats should handle either one of those teams if they have to play. Now let's go to some of the other brackets because I know you have a pool at your work and you want to know who to pick. So let's get started. Perrin, we're going to start in the Midwest there. You see Kansas up there. This is Louisville's bracket. Let's start with who do you pick to win out of the Midwest?
I like Louisville. Everybody says, what about Kansas? I like Kansas. Kansas has a lot of firepower. They just have too much stuff going on all season, between the infractions, Josh Jackson, and everything else. I like Louisville.
I like Louisville, too. I actually think Louisville, I hate to pick them, but I think they get through here. Although I think that second-round game with Michigan could be tough for them, the way Michigan's playing. Give me an upset out of this region. My upset, I'm taking Rhode Island to the Sweet 16. I think they beat Creighton and they beat Oregon. What's yours?
I like Iowa State. I like Iowa State going a far away and giving a hard time to Kansas because they got a great point guard, the all-time leader in the Big 12 win history.
Already beat Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse this year.
Yes.
Not an easy thing to do. Iowa State did. I don't dislike that pick, but watch Rhode Island. If you're doing your bracket pools, Oregon's hurt. One of their players is out. Rhode Island to the Sweet 16, I think, is a good one. Now let's switch gears over to the East region. This is Villanova. Duke are the main ones in this region. Who you got going the Final Four?
I like Villanova. They got tremendous guard play, and they bring back a ton of guys coming back from last year's national championship team.
I like Duke. I would pick Villanova to the Final Four against almost anyone but Duke. I think Duke has finally figured it out. Sit Grayson Allen on the bench, play the other guys, and it's working for them. Give me an upset in here. I've got a couple that I could see here. What about you?
I like UNC Wilmington, former Louisville assistant Kevin Keast.
Oh, you got to go with the Louisville guy, of course, over Virginia. I'll get a couple of them. I think Virginia Tech will give Villanova a game in the round of 32. I don't think they'll beat them, but they'll give them a game. My upset, SMU to the Sweet 16. Beats Baylor and ends up playing Duke. SMU is crushing teams right now. I mean, not just beating them, Perrin, they're crushing them, winning by 30 like every game.
Yes, and they got a former Duke transfer in the Olajay kid, yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's a team I haven't thought of all year, and they are really, really playing well.
Yes.
Now let's switch gears. Let's go to the West region. This is Gonzaga. It's Arizona. Those are kind of the teams. This, to me, is the most wide-open region, Perrin. I could see one of 8 different teams literally winning this region. Who you got?
This is the softest region of all the regions,
Oh, it's
in my
not even.
opinion.
It's by far the softest. Yeah.
But, I like the way Arizona's playing right now. I'm not a believer in Gonzaga, so I just really like Arizona's playing. But my really favorite game is the Northwestern game because Northwestern's first time in the tournament.
Well, let's talk about that. First of all, I got Arizona to the Final Four here as well. I think they got the easiest road. There's some great games here. First of all, Northwestern, Vandy, two of the hottest teams in the country. I think the winner of this game can give Gonzaga a game, don't you?
No, absolutely. They're really well coached. The former Duke assistant Chris Collins' son is going to be head coach there, Coach Collins, and they're going to do a great job. But I'm just really eager to see Northwestern play. I want to see them play.
All right, I got two upset picks here for you. I've got West Virginia to the Elite Eight. I think they make it all the way to the Elite Eight. We'll give Arizona a game no matter what. I think your boys from Florida Gulf Coast take out Florida State a 14-3. What do you think about that?
I like that pick, but I think Florida State makes it to the next round, and I think they get bitten by Xavier.
Oh, you like Xavier?
Because Florida State has a tremendous amount of talent, but they're so inconsistent.
So you and I both don't believe in Xavier getting to the second weekend.
I don't think so.
Let me ask you, overall with the bracket, do you think it was even? Do you think it was balanced? Do you think it was fair?
I have some discrepancies in some places. I don't understand how Florida State was a 3 seed when they were second in the ACC, which is the toughest conference in basketball. Outside of that, there's also a couple other things I can point out.
So with your Final Four, who do you have as winning Kentucky's region?
I have UK winning that region.
All right, I'm picking Carolina. I'm sorry, I just have to. Who's your final game? For me, it is Carolina and Arizona, and I've got Carolina winning it all.
I got Arizona, and I got Louisville, and I got Louisville winning it all.
You do not have Louisville winning it all.
Yes, I
See,
do.
I stopped from being a homer, and this dude still picks Louisville.
Sorry,
That's absolutely
sorry.
ridiculous.